Well, hey everyone, and welcome back to another video in the formation tutorial for Unity. This one is going to be on how to make the triangle formation. Here we go. First thing that we're going to want to do is we'll go up inside of our formation controller script. We'll go ahead and open it. I already have it open up here. And what we're going to do is we're going to come down here, and minimize our circle formation, square, and spiral. We'll go ahead and create another one, another function. Call it private void triangle triangle formation. That cool deal. So in our triangle formation, what we're gonna do is go ahead and start off where we want to spawn the objects. So we'll go ahead and vector 3. We'll call it target position. We'll set it to vector 3 dot. The reason we're going to do left, I'm going to show you in just. So what we want to do is we want to define how many rows are actually inside of a triangle. So let's say we want to do 3 rows on a triangle, okay? So you'd have a triangle that would look like this. You'd have 1 row. Comment this out. So it'd be 1 row, and in the next row, you would have you would have 2, and then in the next row, you would have 3. Now I know this doesn't look like a triangle because they're not shifted correctly, you know, but it's not you're not able to do that in here. So what we're gonna do is I'm not gonna worry about that, but you get the idea. Whenever you go inside of a triangle, if it has 3 rows inside the triangle, it would essentially look kind of like this. So what we need to do first is we need to let's define a variable and say, hey, how many rows do we? We'll do a row of 3. Simple 3-row triangle. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we need to go and instantiate them. So we're going to do 2 for loops. For, we're going to do int I equals 1. I is less than equal 2 rows. And I plus plus. Like that. Okay, so why are we starting it at 1? Because the way this for loop is going to work is going to come into here and say, okay, how many rows do we have? We're going to have 3 rows. So we're going to loop from row 1, row 2, and row 3. That's what we need. 1, 2, 3 rows. Okay, and we're starting it from 1. So I'm going to show you in a minute as to how the indexing is. So inside of here, we're going to do for int j equals 0. J is less than I. J plus plus. Yes. Okay, cool. So when we're in the first row, we're going to want to put just 1x. So what we're going to do is we're going to do game object. So first we'll instantiate an instance of our prefab first. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we need to take the target position that we have up top, and we're going to set it to a new vector 3. We're going to do target position dot x, target position dot y, and then we're going to come here, set instance dot transform dot position set to target position. Oh, at here. Okay, so what is this doing? So basically it's going to come into here and go into here and say, okay, or in I is 1. On the first row, come into here. Okay, j is equal to 0. J is less than I. Is j less than 1? It is. Go ahead and increment it. Go into here. Create an instance prefab. Go to the target position. Set its position. Reset the position. This is where we're going to do offsets. And then inside of here, we're going to set its position. Okay, then it's going to come back up here and say j is now 1. Is 1 less than 1? It's not, so skip. So it's going to be done with this first row. It's going to break this for loop and come down here. What we need to do now is we need to set another offset after this row has finished, because there's going to be an offset for each individual row. So this one's going to start at 0, 0. Well, we want this one to be shifted over to the left a little bit so it actually looks like a triangle formation. And in the next row, that one's got to be further past this way. So this is what this set of code here is going to do. This is going to offset the new row. So we'll come into here, and what we're going to do is we're going to do new vector 3. Put some values in here. Let's go ahead and set up some variables. Out of here, what we're going to do is we're going to do a float. We want the row offset. Set the row offset to -0.5 float. We're going to need a float the y offset. So every time we draw a new sphere on a new row, every time we do a new row, we need to drop down in the y-axis by 1. So we're going to do -1.0 float. And then what we're going to do later is when you do offset, this x offset will be the offset between each individual sphere in a row. So your y offset will be here to here to here in the row. Your x offset is going to be from here to here, like this, on the side of each of the spheres. This is going to be set to 1.0 float. So now we got our offsets. On the target position, what we're going to do is, each time we draw a new sphere next to each other, we need to put an offset. And the offset is going to be plus x offset. The y position will not be offset just yet. That's what happens when you come down here to the row. So first, what we'll do is we'll leave the x alone. Then we'll go into the y position. Y position is going to be the current target's position y plus y offset. And then we're not changing anything in the z. Now, so what are we going to do for x? X is going to be a little more technical. So what happens is we need to do an offset for each individual row. So this row is going to be 0. Well, this row is row 1. No offset. It's just going to be pointed at 0. In the next row, we want row 2 to be set with a negative x position when -0.5x when it starts. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to do row offset times I. Okay, so that means what we're doing is, hey, we just finished row 1. Come down here. I is currently 1 because it's the first row. 1 times -5 is -5. So that means the new x position is now -5. But when we come into this up here, and we're now on row 2, and we come inside of here, we're going to say, hey, what's the current target x position? Well, it's -0.5. That's what we want. Yes, but we're also adding this offset. So when we add this one offset, the next row, row 2, is going to be set to 0.5, because -0.5 plus 1 is 0.5. So actually, the triangle will begin to look like this, and we don't want that. We have to have the correct offset. So what I'm going to do is we need to go ahead and subtract 1.05 from this. So that's going to instantiate everything. Yep. So this is going to do exactly what we want it to do. We'll come up here. We'll do this dot triangle formation. Call it. Save it. Go back into Unity. We're going to run it. See how cool that is. Now, to show you a bit better inside of the code what I mean, let me go and show you what happens if you don't put this offset here. If you don't put this -1 offset, okay, this is what's going to happen. It's going to start going off to the side. It looks all weird. That's because what's happening here is if you look at sphere 1, it has 0, 0, 0, right? Well, that's the first row. The second row begins here with sphere 2. Look at its offset is 0.5. That's because, as we stated before, if we go into here and we set this, we're at row 1, 1 times -0.5 is -0.5. It's going to come up to the next row, and it's going to say, oh, on the first instance of the row, what's the current position? It's -0.5. Add 1 to it, you get +0.5. So everything is just shifted the wrong way. So you need to have this here to be able to get that offset of situation. And you can change this however you want. So we have that with we have it set to row 3. Let's do 10. Let's scale up the triangle. That. Let it pop up here. Great. Hit this, and now we should have 10. Boom. How cool that is. Yeah. So, and another thing we can do, we had the spiral formation. We created a container component that actually allowed the spiral to move if we wanted it to. So let's do that with the triangle. So what we'll do is we'll come into here. We'll create a new game object called container. And we'll say it's a new game object. Give it a name, container. And right here we'll do container dot transform dot position is set to vector 3.0 row Z. There we go. Alright, so we're gonna have Juice gonna create an empty game object, and then every time we create an instance of this, we're gonna go ahead instance dot transform we're gonna do set parent to the container that we just did, to the container dot transform. So it's going to give it as a parent, and then what we're going to do now is we're going to come down here. Once we're done all the loops and everything, we're going to do container dot add component created. It is a container component. So what's going to happen is all of this is going to spawn correctly. They're going to be set inside of the inspector to a new object that is a child, and then our triangle is going to rotate. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty sweet. So yeah, so this would be really cool for like if you're making any kind of RPG game or maybe a flight simulation, just something to where, you know, you have objects you want to rotate inside of a game. It could be a circle, it could be a square, a triangle like this, and you can have your character or ship glide through them, and then as they glide through them, you can do some collision check, and they can explode, and they can drop money, and they can do all kinds of cool stuff with it. I do hope you enjoyed the video. Might have seemed like it was a bit of a quick one. Appreciate everything y'all do and leaving comments and letting me know what you guys would like to see. If there's any other kind of videos you'd like to see, please let me know in the comment section. Like, comment, subscribe. Let people know about the videos. You know, I'm always open to learning new things when it comes to programming. I really enjoy the program and forward to continuing to program out there and be a blessing to people and just sharing the knowledge that I have and just learning new things together. So this is pretty much what it comes down to. I was able to pick at all of this before I made the video. I like to go and do the videos before I actually do my video content. I really like to go and create the video that I'm going to do first, like just script out everything and see how everything works. And initially, the way I knew about all of these offsets ahead of time was because when I scripted it out, it was giving me an issue as to why the offset was throwing off. So this was the situation I figured out that actually fixed it. It just, the offsets needed to be done correctly. And by that much, we were able to get the triangle up and going. So that's the offset to new row, and that'll work. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I know it was a bit of a quick one, but you know, we got that triangle formation going. Now you can put some cool shapes in your game based on the whole tutorial and get some things spinning around and get your RPG going or flight simulator, however you want to do it. So, but y'all be safe out there. I pray things are going well for all of you, and blessings over the family and friends and coworkers, and safe out there. And I look forward to making more content. I hope y'all enjoy it. I will talk to y'all later. All right. Bye.